Hey folks, Todd at Freedom Fighter Tactical. Welcome to the latest status of business and inventory update. Let's get started right now. Hey folks, Todd at Freedom Fighter Tactical. Welcome to the channel. For those that are new here, I greatly appreciate the fact that you've stopped by. I hope you check it out and enjoy. For those who are part of the fam and have been with me for a long time or even just a little bit of time, welcome back. It's great to see you yet again. If you have been following along, you know that I have been busy over on Instagram. I've posted a lot of content over the last week on Instagram, and I'm really trying to ramp that up. I also started up TikTok, and I'm doing a lot on YouTube here as well. So check out the other channels if you have a minute. I wanted to do a status of business inventory update today and talk to you about some of the things we've been working on. And if you've missed the content on the other channels, I mean, there has been so much going on at Freedom Fighter lately. It's crazy. First of all, the oversized bolt release buttons are back in stock, finally in black. Just got those in the other day and been putting them together and getting them out the door. So those are in. Another thing too, if you followed along, I've spent like 3 years working on the, I believe it's the 70088, which Benelli discontinued. It's the metal part of the skeletonized stock. They discontinued it. It's considered a 922R part because it's the stock part of the collapsible stock. And I have spent, at least 3 years on this project. And it's done. This is one I could sell. I'm not going to. It's the first one I've ever completed. It's actually not completed. It has not been laser marked, made in USA, which I intend for them to be laser marked underneath the butt pad on the flat surface. But this is a finished part, and it is absolutely a work of art. I don't ordinarily like to say that things are better than OEM or nicer than OEM or whatever, but this is one of those parts that I think I can legitimately say. I don't think I would use the word better. I might use the word nicer. This thing is a work of art. I absolutely love it. And I'm going to be selling it, of course, in a 2-piece configuration so that when you buy it, you are ready to go. But I've been working on the pricing today. I haven't come up with the pricing yet, but I've been working on the pricing, and folks, it is not going to be inexpensive. I can tell you that right now. For years, I've had people say, God, Todd, you need to find a way to make a stock that's less expensive than Benelli's because theirs is just too expensive. Folks, this is entirely made in the state of, well, this portion is not, but this is entirely made in the state of California, aside from a few of the parts that are on it. And ultimately, all the parts that are on it will be made within the state of California. Maybe a few things are coming from out of state. Some of the hardware, when I get it, it might be coming from elsewhere. But it's American made. And actually, there's a lot of work that's done on this that's done by hand, okay? It's a work of art. It's not a mass-produced, kicking them out of the machines, 500 at a time. This is actually done. There are portions of the work that are done by hand by craftsmen in order to get this part as nice as I want it to be. Maybe it's over-engineered. Maybe it's nicer than it needs to be. It doesn't matter. It is what it is. And those who choose to pick this up are going to love it. And I am going to do an MP3 version as well. And that, I think, will be coming, hopefully will come at about the same point that the black is. Although I think there will probably be a couple months difference between when I release the black and when I release the MP3. But, this piece is an absolute work of art. It just is what it is. And there will be people who will gladly pay to own one, and there's going to be people that balk. There's going to be people that whine and cry and balk and complain and hate me for it. Whatever. It is what it is, folks. If I wanted to have these done in China, I could have them done in China, but I'm not having them done in China. I'm having them done here. And it's a connoisseur's part. It is, if you're trying to build the gun to be the best it can be, it's one of the parts that you want. I can just say that. So anyway, I'm hoping to have these maybe released during the month of August. I think that's a little bit aggressive. I think September is probably going to be more likely because there's aspects of this done by hand. And one of the processes that am having done on this thing in order to really pull out the sheen that this is getting, it's one guy, and he does his work solo. So, and he's expensive. I'm paying for his time. He's expensive, but this thing, I can't even believe how nice it is. The whole status of business and inventory update could be me gushing over this part. I've 3 years and I'm finally at a point. And I've actually had some moments where I've been really scared that this project isn't going in the direction I want it to go. I'm not going to ever be able to get the finish that I want. I'm not going to be able to have a product that I can put out there that I am excited about putting out there. And this is one of the greatest things I've ever done in my life in manufacturing. And I've done manufacturing not only in gun parts, but other things as well. And I've never been as excited about manufacturing something as I am this part. It's just been so long, and I'm really happy about it. As I said, oversized bolt release buttons are back in stock. Titanium magazine tubes are not off the machines yet, so we're at least 2 months away on those. Steel magazine tubes, everything has kind of been getting low ever since the news cycle changed after the assassination attempt. And where's Joe Biden, and the party of democracy not really being the party of democracy, and who knows what shenanigans they're going to pull between now and November. I think people are kind of getting it, like, hey, I need to get my shit together and get my guns in order and make sure I have what I want just in case I have to, make sure that my food is safe and my family is safe and my land is safe, and just kind of standing your ground and waiting it out, whatever goes on in this country over the next few months. So I think people are thinking about it that way. What do I need in order to be prepared? People are probably getting water. People are probably getting wipes and liquor and tobacco, and, and guns and ammo are one of the things that people tend to get. Oh, I do want to talk about this. During my journey on this collapsible stock, and I have access to plenty of OEM that I've gotten through the years, and I've seen it online, I've seen people talk about it all the time, that the stock sometimes sits just a little canted, usually to the right, and I've been trying to fix that for months, and I've thought about it. I've thought about it, and what can we do different? What can be done different? It's been that way with OEM. I put this stock on a gun before, and it just ever so slightly canted to the right. And what I've found is that there's a number of things in play. First of all, wherever the recoil tube is sitting inside the gun with the Loctite, if the recoil tube is kicked a little to the right, it can be just by a few hairs. Then when you put this on, it seems a little off. The top portion underneath the stock cover, that can even have a little bit of, off on it too. I've noticed that on OEM. I haven't noticed that on mine yet because I don't have that many of them to look at, but the things that I've noticed is how does the plastic cover fit onto the stock itself? There's a number of things here. If one of these screw holes or a couple of these screw holes, if the line is a little off. So, initially I was thinking, what can I do in my stock? Because this has been something that people have talked about on the forums for years and years and years, that it's just a little off, And when you put it on your gun, you want everything to line up. You want it to be perfect. But there's enough things in play that it's almost impossible to have perfection. If your recoil tube is on the gun properly, but the cover and the way it fits onto the to the stock piece, and there's some cutting, there's some work that's done on the inside of the cover. So there's just a number of things that can contribute to that, and it's something that's driven me nuts. And it's just one of those things that I don't think it can ever really be rectified. And if it was rectified, it would have to be individually on a gun. For instance, blowing out your Loctite, and when you reapply your recoil tube into the gun, then wherever it was, it's another notch over to the right or to the left, whatever can correct it. And that's where it needs to be Loctited. And then suddenly you have a straight stock. So it's just one of the problems that I've worked through. And I've concluded that there, you know, you could think you fixed it within the stock, but then something external to the stock is causing it, like the cover, like the recoil tube and where it's positioned. So, I mean, it's just one of those things that you can try to figure it out always. It's the same thing with the trigger kits, actually. You know, our trigger kits, you know, I talk about how there's not a 100% drop-in solution for the trigger kit, and some people are going to have to modify their most likely their sear just a little bit in order to get everything to work properly and pass the safety function check. And you could try to manufacture it out to where somebody wouldn't have to do that. But then when you do that, somebody else is going to have to do something else to compensate for what you just did. So, you know, I've always believed that at the factory, when Benelli is putting their trigger housings together, if something's not cooperating, they fix it right there on the spot, send it on its way, and people think they've got everything as spec, and something was taken out of spec in order to get it to work right. And then when you reintroduce a new spec part, whether it's mine or OEM or whoever else makes the parts, now the problem is back. And so it's not something you can manufacture and engineer out of the equation so that there's a 100% success rate. It's one of those things. And I think how a stock sits on the tube, these collapsible stocks sit on the tube, a lot of the times it's not the stock itself, it's the tube. It's where's the tube dialed in at? Where's, you know, how is the stock cover sitting on? I mean, we've spent 3 years trying to figure all this out, and it's just, that's been one of the things that's, you know, I've been trying to, like, is this something that I can engineer out of this thing? Is this something that me and my team can figure out so that when you put one on, it's just always straight? It's impossible. So it's just one of those things. I just thought I'd let you know, because I've given it, I mean, I've been thinking about it for 3 years. So one of the first things I wanted to do was figure out how to, I mean, Benelli's, these stocks are famous for being just ever so slightly canted to the right, always. And there's nothing you can do about it. Where this thing sits on the tube really is going to be the biggest driving factor, and where that tube is dialed into the gun. So, you know, aside from talking about this exciting stuff, flashlight mounts, we're working on them. I think there's 2 procedures left, and then there's coating, and then we'll be done with them. So I actually think the flashlight mounts will be sometime this month. They are very similar to the impact mounts that were out, but we did make a couple of significant changes. And every mount will have a rail. So imagine, so Impact had what they called the Scout, and that didn't come with the rail. And then they had the 1913 Picatinny rail version that came with the rail, okay? Ours is just gonna be the 1913 Picatinny version. I think what Earl was trying to do was guys who just needed the Scout mount and didn't need the rail, he was trying to save them 20 bucks or something by offering it in both versions. Okay, I think that causes way more headache because you have to have separate packaging, and then there's 2 different products and everybody's asking you which one should I get. With me, everyone's getting the one with the rail for the $20 more or whatever. It's, you know, there's not going to be anybody who doesn't get the rail. That's just, you either use the rail or you don't use the rail. So that's how I'm going to package it. And, you know, it's, like I said, it's going to be very, very similar to what we had with Impact, but there is a little bit of change to it. And, you know, we'll see how it goes. We'll see what people think of it. I wanted to do something different. It's hard to do something different from that design because that design is very simple, and it's very basic. And that's what's genius about it, is it's just enough that you get exactly what you need, and you don't need anything more, and you can't have anything less, because that was a pretty bare bones design. The only thing that wasn't bare bones about it was that you had a QD on both sides, and most people are ever going to use just one side. So, I mean, trying to make it a simpler design than what Earl had come up with is very difficult. There's only so many ways that you can attach it to the gun and still take the gun apart without having to take that apart. So we're working on those. I know you guys have been restless and ready to get your hands on them, and they're going to be beautiful. That's about it, folks. And, you know, we've got the 2 QDs for the collapsible stock. We've got the two mounts. We've got the one that utilizes the hole that passes through and you screw in, and ours is an ambi. You know, you face the QD whichever direction you want. I don't have a QD on both sides. I just face it in the one direction you want it. And so if you want it on the left side of the gun, the QD comes out on the left side of the gun. If you want it on the right side of the gun, you just flip it and install it that way, and the QD comes out. So you don't need a QD cup coming both ways. And then the other one, of course, is more of an impact style, using the slot here with a couple screws to mount it in place. So we have two options for this, and I may be actually including that when people buy the stock. They choose which one they want, and I just go ahead and install it for them. In fact, I may always just sell this stock assembled. I may never sell it unassembled, just because I actually have a lot of fun putting it together. I don't want to have customers having trouble putting them together and dealing with that. I try to find ways to eliminate customer service issues rather than finding ways to deal with them. I do find ways to deal with them because it's impossible not to have them, but if I can find ways to eliminate potential customer service issues, I do it. I've talked about that with my QD, or my oversized bolt release buttons. That's why I install the rectangle into the onto the, you know, I put the rectangle button on and screw it on and make sure it's all working, because I want to make sure if anybody calls me and says, well, it arrived and it's not working, the threading is stripped or this or that, I already know that's not true, because I installed it myself, and if there was a problem, I would have just thrown the part away and moved on to the next one. Same thing with the collapsible stock. There's certain parts of putting this thing together that I just feel like could be potential customer service issues. One of them is driving the pin in from the top while the button is depressed. That's very hard to do. You need a vise, you need to hit it correctly, the pin, you need to drive it in properly. There's ways of screwing it up. You can screw up the finish on the stock itself, you can screw up the pin. And I don't want to be taking these back because guys don't know how to drive a pin in and end up screwing something up, and I'm taking back a bum part now. So I'll probably put it together so that when you take it out of the packaging, you can put it right on your gun and off you are. And as costly as these things are likely to be, even before I add in any sort of labor for doing it, I'm pushing $1,000 already, folks. These are going to be pricey. I don't expect these to be a low ticket item, and therefore I don't expect them to be flying off the shelf. I think that there's certain clientele who are going to want it, and certain customers who are that they don't care. They want the best, and they want it put together, and their time is more valuable than their money, and that they're going to be happy with it. I'm absolutely tickled to death that this thing is in my hand now, finished, ready to go, ready to be put on a gun. This thing it's just absolutely a work of art. Anyway, folks, again, Instagram. I am creating a lot of content on Instagram these days, and a lot of content on TikTok and YouTube. And as I'm getting into my groove right now, I'll just go ahead and tell you, I've been putting the same videos each day on Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and TikTok. But that's going to change. I'm going to start putting different content on each platform on a daily basis. So if you're not on each platform and following along, you're going to miss out on stuff. So not that the world's going to end if you miss out on anything, but I am going to try to make it unique to give you an incentive to subscribe on each channel and check in on us on each channel. So as I develop my routine for creating video content and editing it and getting it out to you, more and more it's going to be unique on each channel, and I'm trying to do like a video a day. That's pretty aggressive, but there's so much to talk about, and the videos that I'm putting on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok, they're less than, I think Instagram and TikTok can be 1.5 minutes, and YouTube Shorts has to be less than 1 minute. So we're talking about a very short period of time in your day to check in and see what's going on and participate if you'd like to leave a comment or a thumbs up or anything along those lines. So check it out. You know where to find me. Phone number's on the website. Email is there as well on the contact page, and of course the little text blurb down at the bottom of the page. Thank you to all the people out there serving our country at the federal and state level. Those of you particularly who are doing it being mindful of the Constitution and being mindful of doing the best you can do for your community and the people in it. Those are the people out there who we greatly appreciate here at Freedom Fighter. Those of you who just follow the orders of the boss and don't really give a shit about anything, and you're willing to do whatever it is they're going to tell you to do, whether it's constitutional or not, you're part of the problem. So I think there's way more of the good folks out there than the bad, but there's plenty of bad. We see it every day on the television set, and probably more so that are in suits than uniforms, but we appreciate those who love the country and are seeking to make it a better place for all of us. Greatest country on earth, there's no doubt about that, and it would take a lot more than what's going on to destroy it, but they're working hard and tirelessly, and they are continuing their march every day, and we have to be mindful of that and make sure that we're voting for the patriots and not the traitors. It's something I've actually thought about a lot lately, that the issues don't matter. You know, who's going to raise your taxes, who's going to lower your taxes, inflation, abortion, who's going to legalize pot, who's not. None of this stuff matters. None of it. Absolutely none of it matters. You need to figure out who the biggest traitor is at any level. It could be dog catcher, it could be president. Who's the traitor and who's the patriot? They might both be traitors, but who's more of a patriot than the other one? That's the one that deserves your vote. You got to vote for the patriots and get rid of the traitors. And when you can eliminate all the nonsensical issues, climate, and they want to eliminate straws, and get rid of all that crap. Just figure out who the traitor is and vote for the patriot. That's the way I think that's what I do. I don't need to get bogged down on it, on the issues. And I find that people I know who get bogged down on the issues don't know what the hell they're talking about. And they're, when people tell me, I'm middle of the road, I agree with them on half the things, I agree with these guys on half. That's a bunch of crap, okay? Whatever logic you use to agree with, say, the red on a couple of things, if you apply that same logic on the stuff that you agree with the blue side, it's going to make you favor the red side. And vice versa. If whatever logic and reason you think you're using to agree with the blue side, if you apply that to whatever you think you agree with on the red side, you're going to end up being all blue. It's the same kind of thinking. So I've spent years thinking about this, and it's just a shame that people just get so bogged down into it. Vote for the patriots, always. Folks, take care, be safe, have a great week, what's left of it. I kind of just started, right? I'm recording this on a Monday, so on the 22nd, so dropping it probably on Tuesday. It seems like the week is coming to a close already. I've been that busy. Folks, I will talk to you in the next video. Thanks for watching.